A Bay Area business is opening the door to a passionate debate. It's marketing itself in a way that offends many people.
You know, I know that it does stop you from seeking help.
Hey, ho, ho! Discrimination got to go! Hey, ho, ho!
What's more important, the free market or free speech? We'll search for the dividing line straight ahead on this edition of Equal Time.
From San Jose State University and KTEH, you're watching Equal Time, exploring new issues each week, giving equal time to competing points of view.
Hello and welcome to San Jose State University and this week's edition of Equal Time. I'm journalism professor Bob Rucker. A Campbell business is drawing the wrath of people with mental illness and their families. It's called Psycho Donuts, a small shop creating a huge controversy. Here's journalism professor Diane Guerrazzi.
Pedals hey, 2, 4, 6, 8, Psycho Donuts, pedals hey, 2, 4, 6, 8, Psycho Donuts, pedals hey.
About 100 demonstrators gather outside this Campbell Donut shop. Many are mental health activists, claiming Psycho Donuts perpetuates a stigma against disabled people.
It's not the donut per se that we have a problem with. It is the fact that they're using the disabilities of other people to profit from. So it's the reference to those disabilities, that the names of those donuts, that perpetuate the stigma.
This is the Psycho Donut, bipolar, massive head trauma, serial killer, and marble madness.
Inside the shop, workers wear nurses' outfits.
I've talked to this owner on several occasions and said, look, we're not saying that you shouldn't have a creative and a theme restaurant. We're not saying that Psycho Donuts is a bad idea in general. What we're saying is some of the things you're doing are extremely painful. They bring back deep-seated injuries and memories for people.
The shop's sitting area is called group therapy. There's a padded cell. Customers could sit inside that cell wearing a straitjacket, although the owners later stopped that practice. They put the jacket on this wall for a time, then removed it altogether. The jacket, used as recreation and decoration, was upsetting to Kim Hing, who's battled major depression.
If you've been restrained or on a psychiatric ward against your will, it's really scary, especially your first time, because you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's happening, you don't know what's going to happen to you, anything. So maybe they think it's great fun to put on a straitjacket and sit in that padded cell, but okay, let's do it on a different terms. Let's have the police come and put you in handcuffs in the back of a police car and take you to emergency psychiatric services, put you, in a situation where it's for real.
Protesters object that the shop appears to be marketed toward children.
The idea that it would be a friendly and fun place to bring kids to come in and actually celebrate birthdays and to welcome them into this, when a lot of times when you're talking about mental illness, these things start their onset in childhood. If you've noticed recently, we've had a huge rash of suicides on the train tracks up and down the peninsula here. Many of them young people. This kind of stigma, this kind of jokes about mental illnesses, that prevents young people from wanting to seek help. Why are these people walking in front of trains instead of going to their parents and saying, look, I don't feel like I'm worth anything. I feel like my life isn't important. I don't know that I want to be here. Why aren't they doing that?
According to the National Institute of Mental Health, half of all lifetime cases of mental illness begin by age 14, and there are long delays, sometimes decades, between the onset of symptoms and when people seek treatment.
I have bipolar disorder and acute anxiety disorder and OCD disorder, and I was diagnosed at about 24 years of age, although I didn't seek treatment right away due to stigma. So I experienced stigma as an adolescent, young adolescence, and I know that it does stop you from seeking help.
As protesters march, they're surprised by the reaction from some passers-by.
As we walk through the farmer's market, it's just donuts. It's just donuts. What are you worried about? Maybe it is just donuts to them, but whenever there's an economic problem in this state, they go for that extra money. And that extra money is in mental health services. Would they raid any other coffers? No, it's because mental health is not a serious issue. People aren't concerned about it. We see it in our legislature, and now it's reflected in private business.
The protests have not stood in the way of Psycho Donut's success. It's opened a second shop 1 block from the San Jose State campus.
When we come back, we'll give the other side equal time.
I don't know when everybody became a little wah-wah baby that everything's offensive.
We'll talk with the shop owner.
We want to do things that are fun, lively.
And we'll examine the issue of political correctness. Why may some names be considered okay to some people, even if others find them offensive?
Here is your wandering one, say I want to know more.
Question: what's funny, and what jokes come at the expense of other people? Protesters say a Campbell donut shop goes too far, making fun of people with mental illness. Now we'll hear from the shop owner.
Between keeping trays stocked and answering questions about controversy, Jordan Zweigeron is one busy donut shop owner.
Our goal was to create a fun, over-the-top, and unusual environment because we didn't want to be like any other donut shop.
The protests have brought in business as a backlash. Mental health activists are acting as unwitting Pied Pipers, leading passers-by to Psycho Donuts, a shop some see as a victim of political correctness.
I just think it's kind of silly. People, it seems these days people are just far too sensitive about things.
I don't know when everybody became a little wah-wah baby that everything's offensive.
Just why are they protesting? It's in good humor. It's not hurting anybody.
What we're doing, and I would mention to the folks out there who are concerned about what we're doing, is that our intent is not to harm anyone.
Zweigeron says he'll be making some changes in the shop, but he insists he's not bowing to pressure.
Yeah, I'm not making any concessions. There's no compromise happening. It's not as though anyone's forcing me to make any changes in the company. It's more about evolving.
So where is the dividing line between what's offensive and what's funny? We asked some people who use humor in their line of work, starting with comedian Will Durst.
I don't think making fun of the handicapped or the homeless or people who are less fortunate than you, I don't think that they should be the object of our scorn and derision.
Certain subjects are off limits. Lately, it's President Obama.
Because it's hard to tell jokes about Obama. Now, part of it is racial, too. I mean, the fact that America was able to cast aside its prejudices and actually vote for a Harvard Law graduate, and he's a black guy, but he's a half black guy, and isn't that America? Yeah, we can elect an African American president, but well, how about we start out with a half Negro, like a starter black guy, a hybrid, baby steps.
Joe Schumann Silver produces the longest-running musical review in theater history, Beach Blanket Babylon in San Francisco.
San Francisco, open your golden gate, let the stranger wait outside the door.
The show is a gentle parody of just about everything. But recently, Schumann Silver pulled a routine exaggerating President Obama's ears because of public outcry.
That's the only complaint we've ever had. Nothing else. In 35 years.
But other presidents have been fair game for their physical attributes.
Like Reagan. I remember Reagan, he had the hair that didn't move, which I thought was reflective of his political philosophies. So I used that, and he had the neck, you know, that waved in the breeze. So his hair wasn't moving, but his neck was flapping. So I thought, you know, so I'll do jokes about that. And Bush I would do jokes about.
So we were able to parody him, except not after 9/11. We had a parody of him, 9/11 came, we pulled him out of the show. We didn't put him back in for 2 more years. And then after that, we were able to make fun of him again. But we had to wait the proper amount of time. So we're pretty cautious of what we put in the show and what we don't put in the show.
And the times constantly change in terms of political comedy, or what's politically correct.
Capitol Hill was bringing me down. The time has come to turn things around.
Having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. Got the Nobel Prize, you better get wise, it's too darn hot.
People were much less politically correct 35 years ago than they are today. You gotta be so careful today.
Times may change, but those protesting outside Psycho Donuts would argue it's never okay to make fun of people with mental illness.
And although I think that the majority of the community is in favor of what we're doing, I am well aware that people are concerned.
When we come back, we'll sit down with experts in search of solutions. We'll look at words in the English language that used to be perfectly acceptable, but now are deemed offensive. How far do we go before political correctness becomes ridiculous? Stay with us.